Coming up, police nab the man who they say vandalized a mosque in Moorhead.
Parents push for an end date to masking in Fargo public schools.
Plus, how Minnesota's governor is trying to get people to come back for their second dose of the COVID vaccine. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
We begin tonight with breaking news. Police say tips from the public led them to arrest a man they say vandalized the Moorhead Fargo Islamic Center mosque over the weekend.
They say 22-year-old Benjamin Enderly of Moorhead was arrested tonight in South Moorhead. He's been booked into the Clay County Jail, and police are requesting charges of felony harassment and felony criminal damage to property in the second degree. These crimes were enhanced due to the hate-related acts.
On Sunday, members of the mosque arrived early in the morning to find several hate-based messages spray-painted on the building. And yesterday, hundreds of community members worked to clean it up. Moorhead police say they received tips from the public and information from an employee at a local business who provided details that led them to identify the suspect.
In other news tonight, a group of parents pushing for mask wearing to end in Fargo public schools.
And tonight, a few of them spoke up during the school board meeting, hoping to get that message across. Valley News Team's Nisha Taylor has our story.
I'm here to ask you to end the mask requirements sooner than later. They are not good for children.
A group of parents rallied together during tonight's Fargo Public School Board meeting to voice their beliefs on not having their kids wear masks in schools.
We have to ask ourselves, what are these masks being used for?
One by one, each parent expressed the experiences their child has had while wearing a mask in the schools. One mom has a son with a medical disability that requires him not to wear a mask. She says her son has been treated like an outcast.
Systematically, the class was told stay 6 feet away from this child at all times.
She also believes her son is not getting the equal education he deserves.
It's not equitable when a teacher can't come within 6 feet to teach them how to do a math problem. It is ostracism.
Another parent said she pulled her kids out of Fargo public schools because of the mandate. She is now homeschooling her 2 youngest children, but allowed her middle schooler to return so she could be with her classmates.
She doesn't like wearing the mask, and I want to be able to tell my daughter that I'm helping to do something about that.
And the overall question these parents were hoping to get answered tonight:
what's it going to take for this to end?
But this group of parents were left without an answer. In Fargo, Nisha Taylor, Valley News Live.
We reached out to the school board for a comment but haven't heard back yet. Today, Mandan Public Schools announced that it's dropping its mask mandates on May 3rd.
Another local woman is once again warning of vigilance and awareness after she says she had an unsettling experience with a man at a West Fargo grocery store yesterday afternoon. Kayla Tanhoff says that she was shopping in the back aisles of Cashwise when a man approached her. She says he followed her, asked her if she was pregnant, and then asked her to give her a hug.
I could tell he was, eyeballing me and my daughter, and then the things start popping in your head of, is he trying to distract me from somebody else that's trying to grab her? Things you hear across the country, but you hope aren't in our area.
Tanhoff adds that West Fargo police have since stated the man in question is an older teen with mental health concerns. They say he, quote, poses no danger to the public. Tanhoff says while she is somewhat relieved due to the nature of her experience and her teenager's actions, her message of vigilance still stands. And if you need help uncovering an issue, call our Whistleblower Hotline. We'll do our best to get to the bottom of it. Call 701-237-6576 and leave your tip.
Governor Tim Walz says he's easing COVID restrictions in Minnesota. The announcement will come later this week or early next week. He says the state's COVID cases are plateauing after the recent spike when Minnesota was ranked number 2 in the nation for variant cases. Health Department officials said today the state is still at high risk for community spread, with 43% of reported cases tied to an unknown exposure source.
Today, speaking at an apartment complex, the governor also showed one way that he's making COVID vaccines more accessible.
We're doing that next step of making it as easy as possible for literally people to walk out of their apartments, walk across the parking lot, get their vaccine, and go back home within 20 minutes.
The CDC says 5 million people have skipped their second dose of the vaccine. They say because many people think one dose provides enough protection. Doctors say that's not the case.
That's what really creates a lot of those long-term memory cells that will be able to store those antibodies so that at any point down the road, you would be able to fight off the virus before it ever got set up in your system.
And Dr. Best thinks more education coupled with ease will encourage vaccinations. Sanford could resume giving out Johnson & Johnson vaccines as soon as next month. This comes after a pause in the vaccine distribution after several people developed rare blood clots. When the shot is re-released, it will likely come with a warning about blood clotting and low platelet counts. Now, if you're looking for options on where you can get a COVID vaccine shot, use our VNL vaccine tracker. It's on our homepage of our website, or you can open up your phone camera, point it to the QR code on your screen, then tap the link that pops up.
The sentencing date for the former officer convicted of murdering George Floyd has been pushed back. Derek Chauvin was due to be sentenced June 16th, but court records show that date has been pushed back to June 25th. A court spokesperson says the change was due to a scheduling conflict. Legalizing medical marijuana is moving along in the Minnesota House. For months, the proposal has gone through hearings in key legislative committees. Today, lawmakers underscored the impacts on the criminal justice system and a bridge to racial divide. Carolyn Cummings explains what's next.
Our effort as a society and as a state to use the criminal justice system to ban, prohibit, and criminalize cannabis is a public policy failure.
In the House DFL's quest to legalize and regulate recreational marijuana for adults, the focus turns to the criminal justice system. Supporters say the bill would shrink the divide between how black and white Minnesotans are treated for possessing marijuana.
This bill is about correcting that harm.
A 2020 report from the ACLU of Minnesota shows Minnesota ranks 8th for largest racial disparities when it comes to marijuana possession arrests. The analysis also found black people in the state are 5.4 times more likely to be arrested than white Minnesotans.
Prison affected my employment. Obviously, once I got released, home, trying to find homes, basically affected my whole lifestyle. Lost contact with children and family as well.
Isaiah Shivers told a House committee Tuesday how his 36-month sentence in prison is still affecting his life out of prison. Many people like him could be eligible for automatic expungement of low-level cannabis offenses like misdemeanors under the proposal. A new board would review felony convictions on a case-by-case basis. Law enforcement officials expressed concern over potential increased addiction and traffic safety due to impaired driving. Marijuana can significantly impair judgment, motor coordination, and reaction time, according to the NIH, but it notes one large study by a federal agency finding no significant crash risk attributable to cannabis.
Law enforcement does not have a tool to provide a roadside test. If there is no way to roadside test, we are only going to create more dangerous roads.
The bill will go through 3 more committees before a House floor vote can be made. It is the farthest a proposal to legalize marijuana has ever gone in the Minnesota legislature.
You still have time to get your real ID. The deadline was October 1st of this year, but the Department of Homeland Security is again pushing back that date because of the pandemic. Travelers over 18 must have this more secure form of ID. Currently, only 43% of U.S. issued driver's licenses are real ID compliant. The regulation was put in place to ensure travelers' identities in light of the 9/11 attacks. Some U.S. employees will soon see a bump in their paychecks. The Biden administration signed an executive order that will significantly increase the minimum wage for federal contractors.
President Biden is issuing an executive order requiring federal contractors to pay a $15 minimum wage to hundreds of thousands of their employees. The executive order will increase the hourly minimum wage for federal contractors to $15 in new and renewed contracts and contract options starting in January 2022. This increase must be implemented by March 30th, 2022.
The current minimum wage for federal workers is $10.95.
Tomorrow evening at 8, President Joe Biden will make his first address to a joint session of Congress. The speech comes as the White House is pushing for bipartisanship on some of the more demanding issues facing the U.S. That includes the Biden administration's sweeping infrastructure plan, police reform, and gun control. We'll be streaming the president's address live on our website, valleynewslive.com.
The Bison have made it to the next round of the playoffs. They're going to be traveling to Texas to take on Sam Houston State this weekend. That game is actually slated for Sunday. You can turn into the Bison pregame show on KXJB beginning at 1 p.m. It'll take you all the way up to kickoff, as I said, at 2 p.m. The game is going to be televised on ESPN.
It came out of nowhere. Like, we didn't even have time to stop. We hit it full on at 70 miles per hour.
Straight ahead, Minnesota friends tell the story of a trip to Brainerd they'll never forget. They hit a bear and lived to tell about it.
But first, a 7-day planner with highs that you won't want to miss. Much's forecast is in a few minutes.